Hey guys, good morning and welcome to the second day of development notes for human geography. Okay, on Friday we went through the first day of notes and kind of introduced what an MDC is versus what an LDC is, and what determines an MDC versus an LDC and how we kind of get there. Today we're gonna go a step further with development. All right, so here's a list of the more developed regions versus the less developed regions. Okay, my hope is that by now this makes a little bit more sense to you since we talked about it a lot on Friday. Okay, so your more developed regions are North America, Europe, Russia, Japan, and Oceania, which is Australia. Your less developed regions are um, Latin America, East Asia, Southwest Asia, North Africa, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, so most of the country of Asia, most of the country of Africa, and then Latin America as well is where you're going to find your less developed regions. Okay, so all right, today the first thing we're going to talk about is the core periphery model. Okay, this is definitely going to be on your test. Okay, what this model does is it explains the economic connection between countries. Okay, it explains, if you can think back to that intro activity that we did. Um, one of the questions was which kind of countries would be at the core, and this is where this is going to make a lot more sense. Okay, it explains the economic connection between countries. NDCs are at the core; they're considered core countries because they take out resources from LDCs on the periphery. Okay, they take out things from LDCs to use to create products. Okay, it leaves LDCs unable to develop. It creates a bigger gap in development. All right, that is the core periphery model. Explains the economic connection between countries. MDCs are at the core, meaning they take out resources from LDCs, which are on the periphery. If you look at this map here, okay, our countries in orange are countries at the core. The yellow is kind of in the middle, and then the green is periphery. So if you think back to that first slide that we had today, your MDC regions, Europe, North America, Oceania, okay, those are all core. They're MDCs. That's what we said earlier. And then Sub-Saharan Africa, Southwest Asia, Southeast Asia, Latin America, we're all LDCs, and they're at the periphery. Okay, so that should make some sense. All right. Next, we're going to talk about some of the theories to development, okay, and what experts believe. The three real different types of theories are on how a country will best develop economically. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Theories about how a country is going to best develop economically. So the first idea or ideology that we have is self-sufficiency, which is where the government slash the economy spreads investment equally across the economy, so everyone gets equal investment, equal returns. Everything is spread equally across the economy. Okay. Another word for this is communism. Okay. So when you see self-sufficiency, you should think of communism. Again, this is going to be on your test. These three different theories on development. Okay, and this is the group ownership of resources. Okay, the group ownership of resources. Okay, because everything's spread out equally, so it is group ownership of things. Okay, the other theory is international trade. Okay, where concrete investment on distinct local industries, otherwise known as capitalism. Okay, competition, not spreading things equally, giving people the power to make decisions and decide what they want to invest in versus things spread out equally. Okay, individual ownership of resources, meaning the individual controls what they do with the resources, how much they produce, and the type of things that they produce. That's capitalism. Okay, and then there's a combination known as socialism, where some resources are owned by the group and others by individuals, but all are regulated by the government. Okay, you do need to know those bolded words, okay, and what each one means. Communism, group ownership. Capitalism, individual ownership. Socialism, kind of a combination of the two, but everything is regulated. Okay. You're going to take a look at these two separate ideologies a little bit later today in one of your activities. Okay. So here are the benefits and drawbacks of each. Well, these I guess are just the drawbacks of each theory on development. So self-sufficiency, the group ownership of resources. It's very inefficient, okay, because you're spreading things out equally, right? So that's inefficient. There is a large bureaucracy, meaning a large government. If the government is dividing up the resources, that's a big job, right? So that's big government. They have a lot of say in what goes on, and then it can lead to some corruption. The biggest thing with self sufficiency is it leads to decreased competition and therefore laziness. Okay, because there's group ownership of resources and everything is equal. It doesn't matter how hard I work, right? If I work 80 hours a week and someone else works 40, I'm still getting the same amount of money. I'm still getting the same pay, okay? Because the government is spreading things out equally among people. So it doesn't make any sense for me to work any harder. To work any harder than anybody else, okay? And so that starts to drive down productivity because people don't want to work very hard because no matter what they do, they're still going to get the same amount. So they might as well not work as hard. Okay, so it decreases competition and productivity. The drawbacks of capitalism or international trade is an uneven distribution of resources. Okay? In the United States, we have capitalism. We have a capitalist economy. And while that is an extremely good thing, the one drawback is that it leads to some pretty unequal distribution of wealth. Right? There's some people in this country that make millions and millions of dollars and they don't even know what to do with all of their money. And then there's some people that are struggling to make ends meet. Okay, so that large um, uneven distribution is one of the big drawbacks. There's a big dependence on MDCs if you are capitalism because um, need to trade with other countries that make good products, and then all your eggs are in one basket. Okay? You kind of hedging all your bets on one thing in capitalism. Okay. Um, the other barriers to development. Okay. The other barriers that lead to low levels of development are low literacy rates. Okay, so these things all are barriers to development. And then the other thing is low literacy rates, right? If your population cannot read or write, that's a problem. And you're not going to develop quite as fast because of the lack of education. Brain drain is when talented and educated citizens migrate out. So they e-migrate or they go somewhere else. Okay, you're losing brain power. You're losing, education, and so that really hurts the development of your country. Okay, benefits to development. Okay, economic opportunities for women increase as you develop. All right, as your country develops, that means more jobs, that means more education opportunities, all of that, greater opportunities for women as you develop. Okay, that's the big benefit to development there. All right. Next, we've got Rostow's modernization model. Okay, and what this says is that countries go through a five-stage process to development. Okay, they go through 5 different stages in order to become a developed country. All right, at first you're a traditional society. Okay, pretty not super developed, not super educated, and then you hit the stage called preconditions for takeoff. Okay, you start to get more educated, and you start to gain and build up resources in order to develop. That's the takeoff. Like if you think about this as a plane taking off from the runway, you're fueling up the plane, you're getting ready because you know that something's coming. Okay, then you take off, right? Then you start to develop. The education increases and the infrastructure increases and the amount of money that your country has. The GNI increases for people. The GDP increases. That's your takeoff. Okay. And then once you're in takeoff, it's kind of this drive to maturity. Okay. So this is kind of right before you get on autopilot. You're driving to where you're in an extremely developed country. And then eventually you're at that place where you're just cruising, right? You got high mass consumption. People are very educated. They're buying things. They're contributing to the economy. That is your final stage, and that is how the 5-stage process to development goes. Okay. All right. We are going to skip that for today. Okay. We are going to skip that for today. That is the rest of your notes for today. We will continue with notes tomorrow or the next day with kind of our next notes on development. But for today, you are done. Okay. Need to make sure that you understand these things. Okay. The barriers to development and the benefits to development. Okay. You also need to make sure you can define, categorize, and distinguish these three from one another. Right. So make sure that you can do that, and then you need to know core periphery model. All right. There's 2 more activities for you to do today, and then that's it. So if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a fantastic day.